Welcome to K-Press Sports, the third edition. We'll be joined by K-Press Sports boxing contributor, Anthony Morrell. We'll take you through the recent developments in boxing and in MMA. So let's begin with Curmel Moton. Now, Anthony, let's talk about Curmel Moton's victory over Frank Zaldivar. Curmel Moton secured a third round TKO against Frank Zaldivar on the Benavidez Morrell undercard. How significant is this win for Moton's career?
Personally, for Moton's career, this is a significant win as he's still undefeated. He just turned pro at the age of 17, and he has only been fighting for a whole year professionally. He turned 18 the other day, and the more he keeps on building up his resume, the more he's going to become a bigger star. As you can see, he's already fighting on pay-per-view undercards at this young age, which takes most fighters decades, years plus in their careers to ever fight in. And not only does he have the skill to back it up, because we all know that skill pays the bills, he has a good entourage around him. And what I personally see from the young champ is bright. I'll be watching.
So, Moto now is 7-0. According to a Boxing Scene article, it says a dazzling 18-year-old prospect from Salt Lake City who now trains with Floyd Mayweather. How much has Floyd Mayweather been in terms of a coach? And do you see any parallels in like the way they fight?
Yes. Personally, I feel like Floyd always has a particular style that which he likes to instill in other fighters, and I see even the Curmel since has been working with Mayweather since he was 8 years old, since he was a young, and he's been in that money made gym. That's what I'm telling you. He's seen it all. He has the experience. He's been there with world class level fighters and everything. And as when it comes to Mayweather personally has a lot to do with his fight game to do in terms of fight wise, mentally, physically, yeah, and pulling up tricks up his sleeve.
Now, this article also highlights that by comparison, his opponent really tried to fare off against the other opponents that he fought. Now, do you think that this opponent had a really tried like putting up a fight against
Frank.
yeah.
Any person who is putting on the gloves believes they're coming to fight regardless. So he got knocked out in the third round, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, it's the third round.
He got stopped by the referee. He couldn't answer back the onslaughts of punches which he was receiving in the corner, which made the referee stop the fight. But what I saw from him, he had a lot of heart and more luck to him and to his career.
Yeah, man. This is a prodigy in the making. Now, let's move on to MMA a little bit now. Let's talk about African champion Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland at UFC 312. Now, Dricus du Plessis defended his middleweight title against Sean Strickland, resulting in a unanimous decision of and a severe injury for Sean Strickland. Remember, his nose was extremely destroyed. Now, what were the key factors that led to du Plessis' victory in this rematch?
Personally, also it comes down to styles making fights. Styles make fights. And when you look at Dricus du Plessis, on the other hand, is that he's a very come forward type of fighter. He brings the fights to someone, and when somebody's being brought the fights towards them, they're under a lot of pressure. They have to keep composure and everything. And on the other hand, Sean Strickland fighting style compared to du Plessis favors du Plessis on his end. So you find that Strickland loves to stand straight up with his hands up in the air, trying to parry shots like a boxer in the MMA. And he also uses his lead tip kick also to gauge the distance between his fighters, and which also, as he has a very awkward pose where he leaves his chin in the air like this, it's always like this, I, I don't know if you've ever seen how he's
He looks up like
yeah,
up to the
his chin,
sky, and
yeah,
then like he
exactly.
exposes his okay.
Yeah, his chin is in the air. That's why even I don't think I'm not sure if you've watched him versus Alex Pereira. Pereira
Yeah, I think
made
so.
him mock him into a hook because he fights like this, like with he's trying to parry shots like a boxer. Exactly. And Duplessis throws a lot of combinations even while lunging in the air. And regardless, at the end of the at the fourth round of that fight is when I think Strickland got his nose broken, which brought very significant damage. I think it was a right hand which landed, and like I said, Duplessis got the fight,
No.
and I think is the middleweight champion of the world.
Yes, currently, yes. Our African champion now. Belal Muhammad criticized Strickland's performance, labeling him a coward. Do you think this criticism is warranted? And if it is, how might this affect Strickland's standing in the division, the loss, of course?
Belal Muhammad. I feel also Belal Muhammad have the edge of us, Sean Strickland, and it's not like also Sean Strickland is an up and coming fighter. He's been in the UFC since I think 2014-15. He got the title once and already lost it. He never got a chance to become even a reigning defending champion. On the other hand, Belal, I'll give it to Belal. Yeah, if they were ever to come to fight with Strickland. And I think Belal might also have the skill level to beat Dricus du Plessis.
And what do you
That's
think?
my personal opinion. Tell me what's yours in the comments.
Now, how do you think this might affect Strickland's standing in the division after this loss?
Strickland standing obviously is going to drop because he's obviously I think lost. His only win was against Israel, if I'm not wrong, way back in 2023.
Yeah, 24, yeah. I think that was the last one, yeah.
Yeah, he lost. I mean, he won against Adesanya, and I'm sure he has a lot of weight losses in his career, which I don't see becoming W's anytime soon.
Okay. Now, what about what we think? Okay, now let's talk about the future of the middleweight division. Now, with Du Plessis' recent win, where does he rank among the all-time greats at 185 pounds? Or is it too early to place him alongside legends like Anderson Silva and Israel?
Belal Muhammad, right?
No, Du Plessis.
Du Plessis. I wouldn't say it's too late, but I think he still has a lot more to prove. But maybe top 10. You can say top 10. He might be up there in one hand in the greatest of all time, middleweight of all time. Top 10, but not top 5. I'd give him a top 10, maybe with number 10, but not top 5 yet.
Yeah. Now, the CEO of the UFC, Dana White, has hinted at a potential fight between Du Plessis and Kazma Chimaev. How do you see Du Plessis matching up against Chimaev's wrestling prowess?
If I was to be a betting one, I'd put my money on Chimaev. Chimaev is also another come forward, style aggressive type fighter, puts on a lot of offense. And Du Plessis puts on the same. And one thing I know about the the Muslim boys in the UFC is that they're
The guys from Dagestan, those guys.
yeah, he has that, yeah, he's from that background exactly, but from Sweden, but
Or he's Swedish.
yeah, he's Swedish, but with that background type thing. That's what I'm saying. So you find Chimaev is going to be a tough competitor. I remember Chimaev moved to 185, 170, and he beat Kamaru Usman, which gave me a lot of respect. And I think they fought at 185. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 185 pounds.
Yeah, they fought at 185. So let them fight, and let's see Chimaev become the new middleweight champion of the world.
Now, let's move over to Israel for a bit. Now, Israel Adesanya's career trajectory. Now, Israel Adesanya suffered a knockout defeat to Nasruddin Imavov and is now contemplating his next career move. What factors should Adesanya consider when deciding his future in the UFC?
His age, family, and retirement. That's what I think should be most important to him right now, because personally, I feel that Israel Adesanya should have already retired, maybe already 1.5 years ago, back when he was rematching Pereira in Vegas, where he knocked him out in the second round. it would have been best for him to retire then, because as you've seen, he got knocked out recently in the second round. And personally, I feel this becomes to Izzy's mileage in the fight game, where Izzy has been kickboxing and fighting MMA professionally since he was 18 years old, and right now he's 36. And Izzy has over already 100 fights in only kickboxing, has already over 25 fights in MMA. And that's a lot of punishments taken all through those years. That's why you can see that Izzy's fight style also he relies on his reaction time, his speed, and I don't think he can get away in with his tricks anymore, because one, he's been on the top of the game too long, to where the people beneath him have just been studying him constantly. And remember, they're becoming younger and younger. Every day you become older and older and older and older.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's exactly what's happening to Izzy. Personally, I feel he should call for retirement.
Now, Michael Bisping has offered a critical perspective on Adesanya's future. Do you agree with Bisping's assessment, and what steps can Adesanya take to revitalize his career? Now, let me read for you some of the comments that the UFC middleweight champion turned analyst Michael Bisping said about the Phenom losing 3 in a row. Now, he went to his YouTube channel, and while praising Imavov, talked about this. These were his words. "Can you believe this? The reign of Israel Adesanya is over. It's done," Bisping said. "I say this with the greatest of respect. Do you feel that Israel is done?"
Yes, to be quite frankly, and that's coming from a big Izzy fan perspective.
Okay. It seems that his reign is nearly over. Now, let's talk about
It's already over.
wow.
He's not the champion anymore, so it's technically already got.
Now, let's talk about David Benavidez and David Morrell Jr. Now, the recent bout between David Benavidez and David Morrell Jr. has garnered significant attention. What were the standout moments from that fight, and how do they impact the super middleweight division?
One of it was a very big anticipated fighters, where both fighters are top fighters at their weight class and everything, and you find both of them are animals in the ring. Especially, everybody knows the come forward aggressive Mexican style I've been telling you about is what David Benavidez is, and even fighting for his size, his speed, his movements is crazy. And as you saw, the fight was action packed. You saw the both fighters had hearts. They gave it everything. Benavidez um gave Morrell he outpointed Morrell aggressively on points. He was okay. Morrell, on the other hand, still came back fighting, and he got the short end of the stick. But Morrell is still a solid fighter. He has a bright career ahead of him. This was just a turn-out fight. Yeah. And also, all the best to Benavidez. I'm excited to see him fight people like Artur Beterbiev, Dimitri Bivol at 175 pounds and everything. Especially those fights, if they come in clutch with if the PBC can go and collab with Takia Lashik.
That would be very interesting. Now, considering the performances of both fighters, what potential matchups would you like to see in this weight class?
At 168.
Yeah, the super middleweight division.
We all know everybody wants to see Canelo versus David Benavidez, but that hasn't come into fruition in the last 3 years after the boxing fans still demanding for it, because it seems like Canelo isn't interested in the fight, because he personally knows the risk of taking the fight and losing. His chances of losing that fight are very, very huge, and I feel like that he also knows this. Benavidez is a hell of a fighter. And another 168 anticipated fight is Terence Crawford versus Canelo, where Terence Crawford will move up from 154 pounds from his last fight to 168 pounds to come and fight Canelo and proves who's the best fighter at 168. Terence Crawford wants to retire and prove that he's great. And they're already in talks and negotiations in Saudi. So let's see how it will play out.
Yeah, that's all we have for today for you. at K Press Sports. Now, before we leave, we'd like to give a huge shout out to a novice fighter by the name John Muriamu, or otherwise known as Jonte. Now, Jonte has come from literally nothing and has built himself up to become a middleweight champion. Now, we had the privilege of being with John today, and we'll show you some of the clips that we had with John today while we were training with him. John recently participated in the novice championships in Green Park, Nairobi CBD. Now, he came out as a winner and came out with 2 certificates that can prove this. Now, that's all we have for today at K Press Sports. Have a good one.